Welcome to And Know, where we can discover God's Word together. And Know is taken from the verse found in Psalm 46. Be still and know that I am God. Being still actually takes a lot of patience and energy. Every day we hustle from here to there. So let's challenge ourselves to take just a moment to be still and see where God might lead us today. Welcome to episode 8 of And Know. Thank you so very much for listening. I truly hope that you are finding these devotionals to be a blessing. Last week, we talked about casting our burdens so that we can walk our journeys with God, helping us along the way, and that keeping our burdens in the dark can actually cause them to grow, making each step forward seem so very unattainable. Today is going to focus on finding strength when we just feel weak. I am an overly optimistic person. You'd think that would be a great thing, but more often than not, my rose-colored glasses tend to blur out the stuff I really need to work on. It's not that I'm shoving stuff in a corner or under a rug, but rather that I tend to see a nice, quick way out. But sometimes we need to sit in the mess to learn the real lesson. But sitting in mess is uncomfortable and not a lot of fun. So there are times that I need to make myself pretty vulnerable and dig deep into what I'm feeling and why. And that is when I feel the weakest. It's as if the problems seem insurmountable and I am in the midst of a nightmare I can't wake up from. Where do you go when you're at this point? You can't just say forward or up and onwards. Sometimes that path just isn't available to you. Really, sometimes you can barely keep your head above water. So where do you go? Perhaps the better question is, who do you turn to? Isaiah 40 verse 31 says it so beautifully. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Just a quick note on Isaiah. He was a prophet who lived roughly 700 years before Christ's birth. And yet this book, Isaiah, the one found in the Old Testament, is one of the most quoted books in the New Testament. I hope to one day dig really deep into the book of Isaiah. But for today, we're just going to focus on one of the verses found in this most incredible book. Let's read that verse again. Isaiah 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. What a powerful verse. Each and every one of us will find ourselves in situations where we will not know which way to go. But when we hope, when we trust in God, our strength will be renewed, and not just by a bit. With God giving us the strength we need, we will soar, we will run, we will walk boldly. I think it's important to note that by putting our hope in God results in action. Soaring, running, and walking are not stationary activities. They are actions that propel us forward. How often do you see a bird flying backwards? And what would the purpose for running or walking backwards be? Each of these actions push us beyond our starting point. They get us past where we were and take us to where God is wanting us to be. And know this, the very first step in moving in this direction is putting our hope in God. That's it. Once we do that, we find ourselves with a strength we didn't have before. I think it's also pretty fantastic that Isaiah says that the Lord will renew their strength. Renewing is starting up again. Think of when you need to renew a library book. You don't renew a book that you've already finished. You renew a book that you haven't finished. Our life story is filled with chapters we have yet to read. There will be times when we feel like we are on top of the world. and other times that we feel like the world fell right down on us. We will need to renew our strength because it is not continuous. Thank the good Lord Almighty that He has enough to sustain us as soon as we put our hope in Him. So where does that leave us today? I really hope that you're not feeling as though the world has crashed down on you. But maybe that's where you are. Maybe you're feeling okay and that you're on a somewhat comfortable journey. And maybe you are rocking it, knowing exactly where you are heading. Here's the truth. At every point in our lives, we should be turning to Him for our hope, for our strength, not just at our lowest lows. Remember that when we put our trust in Him, action is sure to follow. So no matter where you are, turning to Him moves you past where you were. And that is a trajectory all of us can get on.